Coming up, the University of Iowa celebrates the centennial anniversary of women's right to vote. And later, we'll tell you about this week's Hawkeye Kid Captain.
I know this isn't weather, but grab your jackets.
Iowa travels north of the Windy City to take on Northwestern tomorrow.
We've got the preview for you in a few.
Sun, rain, snow, we've got it all this week. I'll tell you more in weather.
All that and more coming up on this Friday morning edition of DITV News. Don't go anywhere, DITV starts right now. Good morning and thank you for tuning in. I'm Emily Callahan. The Department of Psychiatry at the University of Iowa appointed its first female chair, Peggy Napoles. She previously served as the department's executive officer. Napoles' research is focused on single gene disorders through degenerative diseases, such as Parkinson's. The Iowa native has been involved with the university since completing her science degree as an undergrad and participating in medical residency at the university. She stresses the importance of supporting and encouraging women in the science field. Napoles was supported greatly throughout her career by her peers and encourages others to do the same. Her goal as chair is to spread awareness about mental health and the limited access to health care these people are given. 2019 marks 100 years of women's voting rights. The Associate Professor for the Department of Political Science, Tracy Osborne, spoke about the advancements of women in politics and the setbacks. Osborne started her speech with statistics. She spoke about the absence of women in Congress and the legislature compared to other countries. The United States ranks 80th with women, including in politics. Osborne listed off multiple reasons for this, including issues with recruitment and lack of political ambition within women. She closed off her lecture by adding some things for us to watch for in the future. Hopefully, America can continue to make advancements for women in politics. But enough of women in politics for now. Let's talk about some women in weather. Tiana has more about the weather in the news studio.
Thanks, Emily. We've got some sunny skies this morning with a temp in the low 40s moving into tonight. Would you look at that? The same exact temp and clear skies. But now let's look at the 5-day. Saturday's forecast doesn't look too spectacular with a 40% chance of rain in the evening and a high in the low 50s. NFL Sunday looks great, however, with sunny skies and with a high of 56. Then things start to derail. Monday will be cold and rainy before the real concern hits. Snow sits in the forecast on a Tuesday with a low that is below freezing for the first time this fall. If you like rain, snow, or sun, then something in the forecast should make you happy. Emily, back to you.
Thanks, Tiana. 76 University of Iowa College of Law students sent a letter to Iowa's U.S. Senators, Chuck Grassley and Joni Ernst, expressing their opposition of President Trump's judicial nomination of Stephen Menasse for the U.S. Court of Appeals. Their letter expresses how Menasse's past opinions degrade marginalized groups such as sexual assault survivors, LGBTQ members, lower-class individuals, and people of color. The committee's vote will decide if Menasse will advance to a full Senate vote. If approved, the committee will vote with the full chamber to determine the confirmation of his nomination. As of now, it is unknown whether or not Menasse will go before the committee. Stay tuned for updates. This week's kid captain for the Hawks game against Northwestern is Lucy Roth. At 2 years old, Lucy started struggling with vision problems. Her parents thought she would only need a glasses prescription, but it turned out to be something much more frightening. An MRI revealed that Lucy had an atypical meningioma tumor present against her optic nerve. Lucy underwent surgery to remove the tumor when she was 2 years old, but she suffered from a stroke that left her paralyzed on her right side. Now, 8 years later, she's doing better than ever. Her tumor is stable, and although she is still in physical therapy, she is more than ready to take on the role of being kid captain this weekend. We've got more about Hawkeye football for you in the sports studio. John and Cade?
Thanks, Emily. It's Friday, which means another edition of the DITV pregame show. I'm John Rawson alongside Kate Overton.
But before we get into Hawkeye football, we wanted to give a little update to our baseball fans out there.
That's right, Cade. We're already 2 games into the World Series, and to many people's surprise, the Washington Nationals are up 2-0 in the series.
That means the Houston Astros have a lot of catching up to do, but they can start the comeback during Game 3, which takes place tonight. First pitch is set for 7:07 p.m. in Washington.
Now, the Hawkeyes don't kick off until 11 a.m. tomorrow morning, but when they do, they're going to need some help from the offense.
That's right, John. Arguably, Iowa's top receiver, Brandon Smith, went down due to injury last week, and now the already struggling offense is even more thin. We have DITV football reporter Zach Lohman live in the newsroom to give us an update on the receiver situation. Zach, with Brandon Smith out for the Hawks, who do you see taking his place and stepping up against Northwestern?
Yeah, with Brandon Smith being out, just to prove how big of an asset he is, he was first in receiving touchdowns and second in receiving yards. Now, the first guy that comes to mind who's had a great season is Amir Smith-Marset. Marset has had 3 receiving touchdowns on the year and second in receiving yards. But a guy you might have forgotten about is Michigan transfer Oliver Martin. Martin had his first touchdown against Miami of Ohio, the very first game of the season for the Hawks, and he's only 5 and 28 for yards. But Kirk Ferentz talked about how they're going to try to put him in the fold this weekend.
Do the math. You know, we're just, he's certainly been in the mix and is in the mix, and now you subtract one good player out of the mix, so it's more snaps available for everybody. So, yeah, he's working right now, and yeah, he's certainly in the mix for competition this week.
Now, Zach, with the strong Northwestern defense, what will Iowa need to do to be successful offensively?
I think Iowa honestly needs to establish the run game. With Mekhi Sargent, Torrin Young, and Tyler Goodson, they need to utilize them in the backfield. Also, with Sargent and Goodson, they can also be good in the passing game, either putting them out in the flat or putting out in wide receiver. Iowa needs to be creative with their play calling to be able to beat Northwestern this weekend.
Thanks for the update, Zach. Now let's stay on the topic of the Hawkeye offense. John, how are the Hawkeyes going to score some points this weekend?
Well, I'll tell you what, Cade, it starts up front. Iowa has to win the battle in the trenches.
And that might be a little easier than previous weeks because the Wildcat defense is built like the Hawkeyes.
They kind of have the same traits that we do, and you got to know that coming into the game. And I mean, we know that. That's why we're trying to have a great preparation this week.
While the battle starts up front, the Iowa offense also knows how key it is to make something out of nothing.
It starts up front, and then it's up to us after that to make the play. Sometimes it's not there, and you got to go out there and be a playmaker.
So, John, with no Brandon Smith and a struggling O-line, Iowa is going to need to make those tough plays.
For sure, Iowa needs more consistent playmaking, and it's going to have to be from the running back core and guys like Sargent.
Now, on the other side of the ball, Iowa has had a top 10 defense throughout the country all year.
And they're playing with a little more motivation this week against the Wildcats.
Everybody knows the history behind this game. We haven't been able to get these guys for the past 3 years, so we know we got to change that coming into this game this year. We have a big opportunity to do that on the road. It's going to be a very important game for us this week.
The Hawkeye defense has had a good game plan going into every game this year, and that doesn't seem like it's going to change against Northwestern.
The ball hard, and I think they're going to be trying to run the ball on us, just like that's what their main point is, and that's kind of our main point as well, is to stop the run and force them into uncomfortable positions.
As he predicted, Northwestern will be run heavy. Let's get into our predictions right now, Cade. It's 2 defensive teams. My guess, 17-5 Iowa.
Well, I think it's going to stay true to a defensive battle, but the Hawkeyes are going to come out on top 10-7.
Well, Cade, I don't have a watch, but I think we're out of time.
Check back in on Monday for your full football recap.
And a glimpse at some other Hawkeye sports from the weekend. Emily, it's all yours.
Thanks, guys. That's all we have for you on this Friday morning edition of DITV News, but be sure to head over to dailyiowan.com for all your latest news between Monday and Friday. And if that isn't enough of the Daily Iowan for you, be sure to check out our print edition of the news on Stands Now. For DITV, I'm Emily Callahan. Have a great day, Iowa City.